I'm YZ. I transformed myself from a state of serious social anxiety to doing more than 1,000 cold approaches, finally going out with girls and actually getting attraction from girls. In this video, I guarantee that you can finally attract girls just like how I helped my students Qingmei and Kai through listening to my story. In March 2022, I felt like I was in the worst state of my whole entire life. I had cold sweats in air-conditioned rooms, no one believing in me, betrayal from multiple friend groups, skinny as shit, insecure, gonna retain this year, heavily addicted to porn, video games, social media, jacking off every single day, eating junk food once every 2 days. I can't even run 400 meters without even stopping. I can't even do a single push-up. I'm never taking responsibility. I'm always skipping hockey and taekwondo training. I'm not smart and not gifted. It got so bad to the point which every single day as I walked around school, my head was drooped downwards, looking on the floor. I was so reliant on therapy because I was seeing a therapist every single day to conquer my social anxiety. And while I was grateful for the experience, I felt like I was stuck in the chains of hell. And there was something holding me back from my potential, but I just didn't know what it was. I was heavily manipulated by my best friend who basically convinced me that every single person hated me and convinced me that I was a loser. And the worst part of all was this guy was my table partner as well. I could not even speak to a single person without stuttering. As I was walking around, right, I still remember, cold sweat is dripping down. I skipped physical education lessons, right, to head over to the library to deal with the immense amount of suffering by myself because I just felt like no one understood. And every single day this happened. It was jackathons at like 1, 2 a.m. It was coming back binge watching porn for like 5, 6, 7 hours and then scrolling social media, just looking at girls that I can't even have in real life, just liking their photos, hoping that I can perhaps see them in real life. I lost my crush to another guy, but I'm still texting her asking when's the wedding. And I just remember how hopeless I felt. Copying homework every single day, I just couldn't do anything. And my social life was just garbage because I isolated myself from every single person. The suffering continued for a good 6 months where I just felt like I was worth absolutely nothing. Until September 2022 at 1 a.m. My parents are all asleep. I'm the only one still awake. I'm looking at my phone and I'm jacking off to the most messed up porn I've ever seen in my whole entire life. After the jackathons, I was like taking the hose and like cleaning up the whole entire like stinky toilet, right? I couldn't help but feel so disappointed in myself. I didn't feel like a man. I just felt so weak. I felt so insecure that I was just jacking off to girls that I couldn't even meet in real life. Because for so much of my life, I had this constant quote saying that I was so perfect, I was so amazing, and I just couldn't improve. As I went to the sink to wash my hands, I looked into myself in the mirror, pimpled face, oily skin, messed up hair, skinny body. I couldn't help but just feel so disgusted with myself. Because I didn't see a human. I only saw a goblin within the mirror, and it was just looking back at me in reflection. With bloodshot eyes, I just felt like my existence was pretty much worth nothing. I never understood the reason why I was on this earth and why I had to go through so much eternal suffering. Because it always felt like I didn't have a good hand in life. It always felt like things always went wrong. It always felt like stuff always happens when things go well. And all of that rage, all of the jealousy, the sadness, all the anxiety, depression from 17 years just kicked in. As I looked at myself and I was like, is this really gonna be the rest of my whole entire life? Where I'm just gonna be socially anxious, stuttering when speaking and not knowing exactly what to actually do with my life. At that moment, I realized that there's been one thing that I've been running away from for so many years of my life. Being myself. Because I always was this person who needed a validation for what I did. I always needed the, let's go, you could do it. Or else I just wouldn't do it. And it's during that point which I only had 2 choices. One, I had to die trying to become the best version of myself. Or 2 is I just give up on life and I just lived like this for the rest of my whole entire life. As I looked at the amount of things I needed to fix, there was more than 100 things on that checklist. Remember, it was nuts. It was like I needed to work out every single day. I needed to get my sleep schedule right. I needed to fix my diet. I was like, there is no way, right, a 17-year-old can look at all of these things and even think of a glimpse of hope of achieving. To survive from that is really one story. To thrive, now that's a whole entire different thing. I just didn't see that it was just possible. I still remember the next day I took out a journal and I wrote down every single thing I needed to do to fix it. I wrote down like 10, 20 pages of how I'm going to structure my life to actually be reborn. Because the truth is, I still remember that there were so many people telling me, you can't do it, you're just a loser, you're just not meant for this, it's just impossible, no one's ever done it before, what makes you think you can do it? I just remember how it felt like when there was not a single individual believing in me. During those moments was some of the most amount of pain and suffering that I had in my whole entire life. Because I felt like the whole entire world was against me. It felt like there was only myself that I could really trust. And obviously there were still some great people who helped me, but I felt like no one really understood the deep-rooted suffering that I was feeling. So every single day I had just a structured routine. Literally saying like, okay, I'll wake up at like this time and I'll do this at this time, I'll do this at this time. I will socialize even though I have social anxiety. Like imagine this. I'm socializing, right, and cold sweat is still dripping down my back as I speak. I'm hitting the gym every single day. I'm fixing my diet. I'm actually starting to do push-ups. I finally stop making excuses. Finally hit the gym. Finally do this. Finally do that. Take more responsibility. Stop skipping training. Stop copying homework. Stop just jacking off every single day. It really sucked knowing that I was not born with the gifts of social charisma. It really sucks to know that a lot of things had to be earned and not just thrown at me. Because I was just so constantly jealous for so many years of my life about the people who just seem to have it all. They seem to just be genetically blessed with everything. And I so wanted to be that guy. I still remember during that moment, I'm like, I will be that guy. And so every single day, I spoke to a camera for hours on end. Spoke out loud, socialized, saw how to improve, journal interactions, watched social skills podcasts, saw how to improve. Every single day, this was the protocol for 4 entire months. I'd been locking myself up, almost speaking to absolutely no one. Because I needed to be reborn. And there were so many days which I asked myself, why am I even doing this in the first place? There's so much pain, so much suffering. And this was where I remembered the ethos that I still stand for to this day. Either die trying to give your best, or you never try at all. At that moment, life was so pain and felt so meaningless that I literally told myself, I'd much rather know that I've died trying to give my best, rather than never even trying at all. So that was it. And 4 months later, after an immense amount of struggle, suffering, and so much improvement, I got a physique. I finally was consistent in the gym. I kind of fixed my diet. I stopped a lot of the bad habits. I actually had a better sleep schedule. I stopped gossiping so much about other people. I took responsibility for what I did. Cold sweat reduced by so much. And it's because I worked for it. It's because it's not about genetics. It's about the dedication that you put within yourself to overcome your genetics. Afterwards, my social life was significantly better than before, but it wasn't super fantastic. It was still kind of alright. It's like you just meet a few people. It's kind of average. It wasn't amazing. And so that went on to May 2024, where I did my first cold approach. At this point, right, I've been watching cold approach videos. Basically, cold approach is when you speak to someone which you haven't even met before and have no relation to. And honestly, right, you don't have an actual special reason to speak to the person. Like for example, it's a complete stranger. So, I still remember, right, it's so funny. There's this community, it's my friend Sam's community, right? So I put literally a post, right, saying, right, I'm gonna cold approach because there were so many people within the community which were saying cold approach is so amazing, it's so cool, everyone should do it. I was like, bro, my social skills are pretty good. Let me go out and cold approach. One of the hardest days of my whole entire life. I thought, right, I could easily speak to 10 girls and just get 10 numbers instantly. I couldn't be more wrong. Before I went out to cold approach, right, I still remember I was at home, right? I was watching video after video, right? About how to cold approach, okay? And I was like, oh, okay, I gotta do this and do this, okay. But it seems easy enough. Seems like these people on YouTube seems to be so freaking easy. Let me just do it. I'm not lying when I say, right, I stood in the shopping mall for 3 whole entire hours and I did not approach a single person, not even a single guy or girl. I was like freaking my ass out. I was like here, right? And people were walking, okay? No camera, no nothing. And I was going around, right? And I was wondering, right, how exactly am I gonna pull this off? Like, how exactly am I even gonna start a conversation? how am I gonna speak? Like, whenever I felt like speaking cold sweat, felt like it's gonna drip down again, I was like, this is impossible, man. Like, I know how to meet like a friend of a friend, but to meet a complete stranger, wow, this is insane. I literally walked around the whole Down Mall for 3 whole hours, overthinking about the exact best line to say. I was so fed up because I still remember, right, I had to get back home, dinner in like an hour. And I literally told myself, you know what, like, screw this, I had enough of this. If I don't at least approach, right, a single person, right, whether it be guy or girl, I'm not leaving this place. I'm gonna sleep in this mall. And after a lot of hesitation and persuasion for myself, I finally gained the courage to go to the security, right, and I literally asked them, hey, excuse me, could I know where's the bathroom? They pointed the bathroom, I'm like, okay, thank you so much. I felt like, yes, I finally actually spoke to someone. But it's that day, right, which it opened my mind to, oh my goodness, there's so much to do to become successful at social skills. So from that day onwards, right, every single day I was going out. I was trying to be more social. I was trying to meet more people. I was trying to start more conversations. And it slowly got better and better. It slowly got pretty alright. I would say like a 5, 6 out of 10. It wasn't like super fantastic, but pretty alright. And then there was this one incident. So I was just going, right, to do some shopping, okay? I was going to do some shopping, right? And as I got out of the train, I saw this cute girl, right? She had like flowers on one hand and she had her phone on one hand, okay? So then this girl was like my type. So I went up to her, right? And I still remember, right? This is the first time I spoke to a girl, by the way. I'm not sure how I got the courage, right? But I went up to her, literally I went up because the video was like, okay, move both legs to her, right? Okay? And walk, just walk. I went to her, right? I stopped like right in front of her, okay? Like imagine she was here, right? I was like right here. And I literally said, those are some interesting flowers. And she looked at me and she's like, oh, thanks. And afterwards, I was like, oh, you mind if I take a seat? Oh, sure. By my mind, right, I was like freaking out, man. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so nervous, you know. It's my first co-approach. You know, what if I mess up? What if this happens? What if that happens? And afterwards, we spoke a lot, you know, and she said she was like waiting for a friend. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So we spoke for like around 10 to 15 minutes. Afterwards, I was like, let's exchange contacts. Sure. Exchange the contacts. I felt like such a freaking G because this girl felt like the exact girl I wanted to meet. So I go home, right? I remember, right? I was telling my brother about this. I was like, bro, this is sick, man, bro. There's no freaking way. And my brother was like, yeah, bro. I know you freaking did it, man. Let's go, let's go. I was so freaking proud of myself. I was like telling like all of my friends about this. So I texted her, right? Okay, I texted her. I said something along the lines like, nice to meet you. Free on Sunday night for dinner? Question mark. The response she gave, right, was so freaking like out of the blue. The boyfriend texted. Okay, the boyfriend texted, right, and he was like, please stop harassing. I remember at that point I was so devastated because it felt like my first co-approach just went so horribly wrong. And I was so pissed off, you know, because I felt like I didn't clarify about the girl, well, the girl had like the boyfriend, like the interaction. So a few days later, right, I was out co-approaching again, right? Meeting more people, saying what's up, you know. I went into this like Chinese shop, right? Went to the Chinese shop and I saw these 2 girls, okay? One of the girls was my type. That's the funniest thing that happened, okay? So, right, the girl that was my type, right, was the more attractive one, okay? Like, if we give numbers, okay? I don't like to give numbers, but if you have to give numbers. The attractive one was like a 8 out of 10, and the not so attractive one was like a 7. It's still pretty good, right? Still pretty good. Both of them, I still remember, both of them they were wearing like their school uniform, so I was like a bit like freaking out whether I should approach or not. But I was like, let's think about it. The funniest thing happened. I've never approached, right, more than one girl before. So this is what I did. I walked around the store, right? Okay, so imagine they were here, okay? They were looking at like eggs or something. And I was there, right? I was like looking at sauces, but like my eyes like nothing there, you know, trying to like make sure like I actually do the approach. And I still remember, right, I was freaking out so much, right? And the literally was like, you know what? I don't feel like approaching today. I went out of the store and I was just gonna walk back, right, to like the bookstore or something. And my mind was like, no, bro, like you can't just freaking like let this opportunity go. You gotta at least say something. I 360, like, I did a whole entire turn, right? I walked back into the store, right? I saw 2 girls, right? And I thought of the most brain dead, right, question that I could ever ask. I literally said this, hey, excuse me guys, do you have any food recommendations? Right, the 7 was like laughing, she was like, Jollibee. I'm like, Jollibee, you freaking serious? And afterwards, like, we started speaking more and stuff and added like a bit of conversational starters and all that. And then the other girl was like, alright. I remember I stood down, right, I was almost like gonna piss myself at this point. Cause I'm seeing not just 1, right, but 2, right, pretty hot girls. Okay, so I'm right there, right, and the 2 girls are here. I'm just speaking to them. In the video, they were like, alright, you need to ask for a number with confidence. Okay, so I tried my best, right? But the previous incident still really bothered me, right? The previous incident where I got the girl's number, right? But she had a boyfriend. So I literally did this, okay? I was like, I'm very nervous right now, but is it alright to pick out a number? And she was like, Telegram instead? Sure. Exchange telegrams. Felt like a freaking chat. Said, alright, yeah, I'll meet you soon. Alright, please take care. Goodbye. Alright, so we exchanged telegrams. And afterwards, right, I asked this question, right? Because I was so frustrated with the previous one. I literally said, you don't have a boyfriend, right? Like out loud, imagine out loud. Because the previous one that I met had a boyfriend. And she was like, no, I actually don't have a boyfriend. I'm like, okay. So that went well. So afterwards, we texted a bit here and there and stuff, you know, right? Afterwards, we went out for like the first meetup, okay? So this is the first time, right, I'm actually going out on a date with a girl, which was around last year, okay? So it's last year, June 2024. June 2024, right? I went out with her, right? Okay. So we sat down, but this is my first date, okay? So I'm a bit like freaking out. I'm trying to like dress up myself because I've been learning about fashion, trying to improve my looks. I'm looking in the mirror, looking like feeling quite proud of myself. I'm wearing long pants, even though I hate it completely because I felt like it just made me look a bit cool. I jumped my hair a bit back. I feel freaking amazing. Wearing a tight shirt, feeling all and cool. I met the girl at the place. We sat down, we had a good conversation, you know. I tried engaging physical contact. Oh yeah, wow. So what are you doing? And then she was like, well, you're so brave, you know, for like approaching me in public, you know. People don't really do that in Singapore. I'm like, oh, I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. And afterwards we spoke. But she felt like more of a bro rather than like girlfriend material, and she said like she felt the same way. So afterwards I still remember, right, in the end we just like parted ways, and I was like, okay, never mind. But I paid for the bill before we parted ways because I was like, I am a man, I'm gonna pay for the bill, okay, parted ways. But that day gave me such a confidence boost. And I just felt like my home world was just open to so much opportunity that this actually worked. That I could actually become confident in this. August 2024 was when every single thing went downhill. It all backtracked to almost ground zero. So I went to this perfume shop and there was this girl, right, who I spoke to. I asked her, right, whether she had any wooden toothbrushes. I don't know why I did this, okay? Like, do you have any wooden toothbrushes? Maybe it's because I was like tired that day or something. She looked at my hands, right? She's like, no, we don't have any wooden toothbrushes, but I help you with your wooden toothbrush. And I'm like, what the? I'm like, bro, I'm like, chill. And afterwards, she was like flirting with me, like out loud, okay? Keep in mind, right, this girl, right, she was like a staff at the store, okay? So this is a staff, right, okay? Flirting with me, like, in the store, okay? So then afterwards, I felt like pretty good because I've not been flirted before with a girl. And I felt pretty freaking confident, right? So then I was there, I was like, yeah, you know, like, hands up the merchandise, you know, I was trying to like act cool and stuff. But in my heart, I was like, oh yeah, man, yeah, because this girl was like an 8. And so afterwards, we were still like speaking. It was pretty damn good. And it was so funny. Her manager came, okay? So then we were speaking for around like 10 or 20 minutes. This girl's manager came, right? And I was still speaking to this girl. I just told her, you know what, just pretend you're telling me something. She was like, okay, sure. So then the manager's looking, right? Then she was like, oh yeah, you know, like she was like, yeah, this is the perfumes and the what. Afterwards, right, she was like, you up to get coffee? I'm like, sure. So we went out, we got coffee, we hanged around a bit. And she was like touching my muscles like all over the place, okay? I don't even know what was this girl's like sexuality, right, or something. But this girl was like overly sexual, okay? And I was like quite taken aback, but I was like, you know what, this felt freaking good, you know, I feel like a chat, okay, let's go. So we hanged around for around 2 hours. Like 2 hours we hanged around, we just talked about life, we talked about who she is or what she does or whatsoever. Before like she had to go back for her like night shift at the store. She told me to come in closer and I was like, please don't kiss me, like don't try anything funny, right? She's like, yeah, sure, I won't kiss you. I'm like, sure. Went in closer, she's like, I'm gonna tell you a secret. I'm like, what? I went in closer, right? She kissed me and I was like, and then she was like, thank you so much for today, you really made my day. This girl told me she has been a lot of guys. So I thought that this girl had like STDs or something. So I went to the bathroom, right? So remember, I was like cleaning my face, okay? I was taking the water, right? Splashing it all over my face because I was like so afraid that I had like STDs or something like after this girl. And this girl, right, I still remember, before she left also, right, she literally told me, right, she was down to smash like right there. And I literally, right, I still remember, right, I was like kind of a horny dude back then. But I wasn't like crazy. And I know that, yeah, I wasn't right. Like, there's no way I'm gonna be with this girl for the rest of my whole entire life. So I was like, yeah, I appreciate the offer, but I'll pass. And afterwards, I didn't see that girl again. She asked my contacts, I didn't say anything because I felt quite freaked out actually. Honestly, right, even though I felt kind of good, I still remember I couldn't help but just feel like, is this really interactions? And I went back home, right? I didn't approach for like a whole entire 1 month, 2 months. I just reflected like, is it really worth it? And so I really thought about it. And after a few months, I was like, you know what? That's just one incident. Go continue improving again. November 2024, right, is when I finally signed up for like a program, right, to actually learn how to get good at speaking to girls. Because at that point, right, I was still not best. I was still pretty bad at speaking to girls because I went from all of the way, like let's say like a 6 to 7 out of 10 of speaking to girls, right, to like now almost a 0. So after I signed up for the mentorship, I started speaking to people, and I was so literally bad to the point, right, I started speaking to animals. Okay, imagine like a chicken walked past me, right, I literally said I like KFC. Every single interaction I tried to improve from ground zero, and it really sucked. Cold sweat was still dripping down, and there were so many days I even asked myself why on earth I was even doing this. But it was because I wanted a better tomorrow. I wanted to become the best version of myself. I didn't want to quit no matter what. And that's why I kept on striving. After months of effort, around like 5 whole months of effort trying to improve, trying to do things, April 2025 is when I can finally, right, have full conversations within the train, which was, in my opinion, the hard thing to do because I was so afraid, right, what happens if I mess up. During those moments, I remember I went around the train. This is literally what I used to do. I'll go around the train. This is the train, okay? I will circle it 3 times and speak to every one single person that I wanted to speak to, because I had to improve the skill because I wasn't amazing yet. And so it was rejection after rejection after acceptance. It was good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. But there was always something that I could improve on. At that point, right, I wasn't amazing, but I was getting a number, right, from girls once every single 2 weeks, at least once every single 2 weeks. And every single time, right, I remember I went back from the cold approach. I went back home and I had a journal, right, and I was obsessed, right, about how to improve. So after I finished cold approaching, I'll head back, right, and I still do this to this day. I'll have a journal, right, and I'll write down what exactly I could do to become better. It's small things like this, right, it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you put in the grand scheme of things, if you improve by a bit every single day, right, after a whole entire year, right, or a few months even, you become exceptional. I finally started approaching, right, the girls again, who literally, right, were like 8s without that much fear. Because I finally decided to get over this approach anxiety that I had been feeling for so many years of my life. So I took notes, implemented, and see what I could do the next day. Around 3 more months later, right, in July 2025, is where I got literally at least 3 numbers a week. And I felt like I could speak to any single person. I was like walking around, right, I was speaking to the 9s and 10s. I could open girls and groups. Like if it was like 5 girls, I could just speak to them. If there was a girl or a guy, I could still speak to them. I could speak to anyone, and I felt so amazing. But I still needed to keep on becoming better. I still needed to keep on improving for more. And during this moment when I approached the 9s and 10s, right, I finally realized like they're just human beings. They want to be approached. It's just that guys don't have the confidence to approach them. And this is where I realized that reaction does not matter. Rejection, reaction, it doesn't define you as a person because it only reflects what happened during that one incident. And the truth is you can't control another person's personality. You can't control what words come out of their mouth. And what you can control is what you decide to do every single day to become better. At that point, right, I've done almost 1,000 cold approaches. I felt so confident within myself. Like through all of the things, people saying you cannot do it, it seems impossible, I felt like I was finally free. October 2025, which is right now, I go about my day and I can speak to any single person that I want. I get on average, if I actually wanted to, at least 1 number every single day. I go around, right, I'm meeting people, meeting guys, meeting girls, I speak to any single person I want, and social anxiety honestly doesn't define me anymore. I feel like I'm so free in conversations, I feel like I'm so happy, I feel like there's so many more new opportunities for me to learn about others. And that's the end of my story. And I just wanted to say about one learning point. You cannot give up. I know that social anxiety is one of the hardest things to deal with because it seems completely impossible to just get rid of it fully. To even think about surviving is one thing, to thrive is a whole entire different story. But I believe if you have the right ethos, dedication, willpower, you will destroy it. It does not matter how many people say it's impossible. What's important is you do the impossible. What's important is you deciding to achieve the impossible. I hope you found an insane amount of value in this and that this story can really inspire you to finally take that first step, to start cold approaching, to understand that genetics are not everything. It's your willingness to take action that's the most important. Never let any circumstance define you, because you choose how you want to define your own circumstance. Take action, bro.